it's a wonderful opportunity to have someone able to do the job a second time with the experience and the wealth of knowledge that you bring. The minister is a great friend of the Institute. This year, for the International Day of Peace, September 21st, Foreign Minister Qureshi collaborated with Together for Peace, which is one of our partners as well in Pakistan, and hosted young peace ambassadors at his home in appreciation of their dedication to tolerance and building peace. So thank you for that. Today, the foreign minister joins us to discuss Pakistan's foreign policy at a particularly critical time. Following Pakistan's general elections in July of this year, PTI came to national power for the first time. PTI campaigned on change, promising to battle corruption, build institutions, and put Pakistan first. And so as the new government enters its second month in office, the U.S. and the broader community are all eager to hear, waiting to hear what Pakistan's new foreign policy outlook will be. So Foreign Minister Qureshi joins us following probably a very exhausting but hopefully productive week at UN General Assembly meetings last week. He has already met with Secretary of State Pompeo, as well as National Security Advisor John Bolton. So we thank you, Foreign Minister Qureshi, for the opportunity to hear today your insights on the new Pakistan government foreign policy and what we can expect from Pakistan's engagement on the world stage. After the Foreign Minister's opening remarks, USIP's Associate Vice President for the Asia Center, Moeed Yusuf, will host a moderated discussion with the Foreign Minister before taking your questions. Excuse me. We have note cards to collect your questions, so we encourage you to write them down and pass them to our USIP colleagues in the aisles. Finally, for those of you who want to participate in today's event online, you can follow us on Twitter and take part in the conversation using hashtag QureshiUSIP. Before we begin, I want to give everybody a quick heads up. You probably heard it on NPR or read it in the paper. There will be a FEMA test, an emergency alert broadcast taking place in about 15 minutes. Please turn off your phones, like totally turn them off, and then we'll avoid or minimize the disruption to our program. But don't be alarmed, it's just a test, and it will be happening nationwide. So with that, please join me in welcoming to the stage His Excellency Minister Qureshi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A short comment on the title. New government, yes, we are 2 months old, so we are certainly a new government. And change or continuity. Continuity means a stalemate, so change we must for improving lives of people. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, USIP, for the invitation. I've been here before in a different capacity, but I'm glad to be here again. You're doing a wonderful job as an institution, and would love to work with you. Met Secretary Pompeo when he visited Islamabad on the 5th of September. That was the first engagement, a high-level engagement after a long pause with this administration. In my view, it was a good meeting. It was a constructive engagement. He had spoken to the Prime Minister a few days earlier when he called to congratulate him on his electoral victory. He also met the Prime Minister and the other leadership while he was in Pakistan. My meeting with Secretary Pompeo and the National Security Advisor, Mr. Bolton, yesterday, I think was useful, engaging, and forward-looking. We had decided when we met in Islamabad that we will reconvene, pick up the threads from where we left them in Islamabad, and at the end of the UNGA session, we will have another round, and we did that. So I'm going back with hope. One has been hearing about disappointments, failed expectations, exasperation, but then you always have to think of hope and change. And I'm going back with a positive view of hope and change. Our bilateral relationship, US-Pakistan bilateral relationship, has been, as most of you know, cyclical. We've had our highs and we've had our lows. The last 2 years in particular, I would say, were difficult. And let's acknowledge they were difficult. And one is here to reconnect, and one is here to rebuild what, in my view, is an important relationship to achieve our collective objective, which is peace, reconciliation, and stability. History tells us whenever we've engaged and whenever we've cooperated, it's been to our mutual advantage, and both sides have benefited, whether it was the Cold War, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, or decimating Al-Qaeda. So there's a positive side, and we should always look at the positives as well. Highlighting, pointing out the negatives is very easy. Building positivity at times is difficult. Is that the alert? It'd be unfair. I've seen, read a lot of criticism, and I think it's unfair not to recognize the contributions Pakistan has made to the successes that you've had in Afghanistan, and you've had successes despite the challenges. Just to highlight a few, the G-logs and the A-logs, and the continued support that we're giving has not only saved billions of dollars, it has contributed to your success in Afghanistan. Just to put in perspective, over 500,000 containers went through Pakistan, and the cargo was treated as diplomatic cargo. Dealing with Al-Qaeda, our contribution should not be overlooked. 950 of them were killed and over 1,100 handed over. Similarly, to blame Pakistan for all the difficulties in Afghanistan, in my view, again, would be unfair. We cannot and should not be held responsible for the failures in Afghanistan, whether it's poor governance, corruption, or disunity within the Afghan government. They have contributed to the challenges. We in Pakistan recognize that peace, stability, and security, to achieve peace, stability, security, good neighborly relations with Afghanistan are critical. What do we want to see in Afghanistan? They're a sovereign country. They will take their decisions, and we have to respect their decisions. But what do we want to see? We would want to see a democratic, progressive, peaceful, and inclusive government in Afghanistan. They will decide who governs them. We have no favorites in Afghanistan. People talk of safe havens in Pakistan, and a lot has been written about it. But we are concerned about eliminating safe havens that exist today in Afghanistan under your watch. So that is a concern for us. Reduction in violence is our collective objective. And growth in production of narcotics, perhaps I was reading somewhere, it went up by 87% last year, is a concern. Being a lower riparian, we share waters. Protection of water rights is also one of our concerns. Border management is important. Border controls and a collaborative approach is, we think, is going to be important. Afghan refugees, and there are 2.7 million still in Pakistan, their return in a time-bound manner, we think will contribute to peace and security in Pakistan. Today, we have a new arrangement in Pakistan, and this new arrangement between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and this new arrangement called APAPS was launched on the 22nd of July this year. Now, this is putting in place a mechanism, a structured, institutionalized mechanism for a continuous dialogue to address all the issues that exist between us. Yesterday and today, I had the opportunity of meeting senators, members of the House. So my embassy kept me busy in the Congress. I would want to, honestly, I would want to invite members of Congress to come and visit Pakistan. And I would like you to go to the areas that were called the tribal belt and see for yourself the difference that we have made in the last few years. You decide where you want to go, and we'll take you there. And then you see for yourself the existence of safe havens, whether they exist and to what extent they exist. It's important for you to see, go and see, and form an opinion. I think, and our government thinks, people in Pakistan think that we have made considerable progress. And this did not happen overnight.